Dude, come on. I'm giving you a gimme. All right, so how did those questions go last night with the homework? Are we okay with them? Any I can work out? We set? If not, we can just move on to the review. Yeah. Well, why don't you watch the video before that? Yeah, okay, you weren't here. Saddle up and ride. Hold on. All right, problem number 1. Root 20. Root 20, do you feel comfortable knowing that's 4 times 5? What's the square root of 4? So 2 root 5. So what's the answer? Yeah. A lot of you have problems when I give you multiple choice. You're like, well, what are these? They're possible answers. Problem number 2. You get 5 root 3 minus 3 root 12. I cannot add or subtract these as they sit because they are not like terms. They have different roots. So I'm going to break 12 up. This is going to break to this. Do you agree with that? And the reason I'm not using 6 and 2 is 4 is the biggest perfect square. So what's the square root of 4? 2. So this is going to give me negative 6 root 3. Then I'm going to bring this one straight down. 5 root 3. 5 root 3 minus 6 root 3 is negative 1 root 3. You can have that as an answer, or you could just say it's negative root 3. 6, 5. Yeah. Where's the answer there? What's your question?
It's negative 2 instead of negative 2 root 12.
Oh, this is a 2. Oh, thank you. That's a 2. So that should give me a 4, which gives me a positive 1 root 3, which is a positive root 3. There's our answer, which is letter A. See what happens when Stirrup can't do math? So I accidentally, thank you for your keen eye. That should be a 2 and a 2, and that's a 4. That'll work. All right, so are we good with 1 and 2? Anything about that you need? This is being recorded as well. So there's 2 different things. Today's lesson recorded and me just going straight through and just working problems on this, okay? All right, so problem number 3. And then I will actually post this page. So you have a PDF of this page if you didn't want to necessarily go through the whole video thing. All right, so this is going to multiply as it sits. So right now I'm going to get 10 there. So now, I guess I could, and I might have done it different in the video, I might be able to go 3 times 24. 3 times 24 is how much? 72. Good. All right, so let's think about 72. So my perfect squares, we have 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81. So root 72 falls in here. So 64 is not going to work. 49 is going to work, but 36 times 2 will work. Do you agree with that? What's the square root of 36? 6. So 6 times that 10 is going to give me 60 root 2. And we just have to put the answer. We don't have multiple choice on that. Okay? Feel comfortable about what we did?
Does it say 60 root 2?
60 root 2 is exactly what it says. Sweet. And I'm going to do a side by side. Hang on. Let's go with view. Dual page on. There we go. All right. Problem number 4. We have 8 root 24 minus 4 root 53. I think 24, I'm going to use 4 and 6. Why did I not use 3 and 8? 4 is perfect square. Square root of 4 is 2, so I get 16 root 6. Root 53, let's see, 53, 1 goes into it, but that doesn't help us. 2 doesn't, 3 doesn't, 4 doesn't, 5 doesn't, 6 doesn't work. 7 times 7 is 49. No. Kind of a silly problem. That's as far as I can go with that problem. You can only break down the first part. You can't break down the second part. Okay, so problem number 4 is on the left side now. Problem number 5. We have 5a minus 2 equals 3a plus 8 plus a. So I'm going to distribute here. So I get 5a minus 10. And then I can combine 3a and a. If I combine those, I get 4a plus 8. Okay? This is a simpler problem, but a lot of people get goofed up on it. Agree? Okay? We don't have, big squares or anything like that. So I'm going to subtract 4a. So that's going to give me an a over here. Those cancel. And then I'm going to add 10. So that's a 10. So a is equal to 18, which looks like answer A. Okay? All right, let's move that. Now move over. Number 6, we have x squared minus 25 equals 0. So we could do this the shorter way. Okay, I don't have an x term. I have an x squared, but I don't have an x. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides. Those cancel. So I get x squared equals 25. Root. Don't forget the plus or minus. What's the square root of 25? 5. So my answer to that is x equals 5. The x equals negative 5. So it's answer B. Cool? Number 7's done very similar to number 6. So I'm going to add 24 to both sides. Those cancel, so I get x squared equals 24. Root, don't forget the plus minus. So I get x equals plus or minus root 24. If you leave it like that, you're going to miss a point. Okay, I can break 24 down to what two numbers? 6 and 4. Again, we're not using 2 and 12 or 8 and or 6 and or we're not using 2 and 12 or 3 and 8 because that's my biggest perfect square. So I get x equals plus or minus square root of 4 is 2, so I get 2 root 6. Okay. Let's see. That looks like answer C. X equals plus or minus 2 over 6. Number 8. I get 2x squared minus 2x minus 40 equals 0. Okay? You can use whatever method you want on this, but I think before I go any further on this problem, I would divide everything by what? 2. You divide everything by 2 on this right away. I'm going to get x squared minus x minus 20 equals 0. Can I do my faster way of factoring now? I have an x squared. I don't have a 1x squared. I just have an x squared. So I think I can do my faster way. So I get x and x. And I want to figure out what two numbers multiply to give me negative 20. Well, that means I have to have alternating signs then. And add to give me negative 1. So what factors of 20 are 1 apart from each other? 4 and 5. Which one has to be negative in order when I add them together, when I add 4 and 5 together, to give me a negative 1? Negative 5. So 4 minus 5. So it's a negative 5, a positive 4. You're not done at that point because then you're going to set each of these equal to 0. And so I get x equals negative 4 and x is equal to positive 5. So that's number 8, which is C. Okay? Hey, we're done with the first page. Feeling okay? And again, you can use this sheet on the quiz tomorrow. Okay, that's pretty huge. That's a big gift. Okay, so problem number 9. Talk to me. How should we start problem number 9?
Oh my God.
Make it equal to 0. Good. So subtract 30 from both sides. Now, what can I do to everything on this one? Divide everything by 2. Good job. Okay, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. So I get x squared plus 2x minus 15 equals 0. Can I do my faster way of factoring? Yeah, my a value is 1, so now I have x and I have x. So I want to figure out what two numbers multiply to give me negative 15, add to give me 2. What two factors of 15 are 2 apart? 5 and 3. I agree, 5 and 3. So one has to be positive, one has to be negative. Which one's positive to add those together to get me a positive 2? Positive 5. So I get positive 5 and negative 2. These are still equal to 0, so I get x plus 5 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. So I get x equals negative 5 as one answer. Add 2 to both sides, x equals 2 for the other one. Which looks like... that's a... Jeez. You can't take me anywhere, can you? 5 and 3 are the answers. So that would be answer A, right? My goodness. Errors galore Sturp is doing. Sorry. All right. So number 10. So we're throwing a little headbanger ball on number 10. Okay, and I'm gonna go through it slowly to make sure you're okay. It's no longer x squared. Agreed? If it's no longer x squared, that means I have to bring an x out front. If I factor an x out of x squared, I'm left with, or x to the third, I'm left with x squared. If I factor an x out of 20x squared, I'm left with negative 20x. And if I factor an x out of 96x, I'm left with a 96. Is that okay? Because it's raised to the third power, it's going to have 3 answers. If it's going to have 3 answers, what answer right now could you eliminate from the choices? B. Does that make sense? So B is definitely not one of the answers. Now, I have this outside x, so that means x equals 0. That's one of my answers. Okay? So it looks like A, C, and D all have x equals 0. So we have one that's already in place. It's a 1 in 3 chance versus a 1 in 4 chance. So now, we might be able to factor it quickly. So I'm going to go x and x. Both signs have to be negative. Both signs are negative. I'm factoring this right here. Both signs have to be negative because the negative times a negative is a positive. And when combining them together, I get a negative. Agree? All right, so then we have to start thinking about, 96. I know that 96 is 1 times 96. I know it's also 2 and 48. And I'm trying to figure out which ones are 20 apart. I know I have 3 and 32. I'm getting closer. I know I have 4 and 20. 4 and 24? Are 4 and 24 20 apart from each other? Okay. They're both negative. Oh, but hang on. If these are both negative, what do they add up to? 28. Right? Oh, so that's not it. Okay, so let's see. 5 doesn't work. 6, I believe, works. 6 and, let's see, 6 and 16. If those are both negative, those add up to negative 22, right? So I'm getting closer. I'm trying to get to this. 7 does not work. I think 8 works. 8 and 12. If 8 and 12 are both negative and I add them together, I get to negative 20. Yeah, 12, 8. All right, so that means that this answer is x equals 12 if I set it equal to 0. This answer is x equals 8 if I set it equal to 0. So notice, my friends, I have 3 answers. I have 0, 12, and 8, which looks like answer C. Okay, so you probably come across one like that on the quiz. Okay, take time, make notes. What do you need to know about that one to make it work? So that's going to be a tougher problem, agreed? Now, friends, if that's a multiple choice and a tougher one and you realize it's x to the third power and you know you have 3 answers and you're like, it's going to be a tougher one. What answer can you guarantee it won't be without even knowing anything else about the problem? You can guarantee it's not B because you know it has to have 3 answers. It's raised to the third power. So when you're looking at it, say, okay, I have a little anxiety about that problem. I know there has to be 3 answers. Take a look at your answers. If one of the or 2 of them don't have 3 answers, you know it's not either of those. That takes you down to a educated guess versus just an arbitrary guess. Does that make sense? And I know you all. I'm not trying to. Some of you will work this out, but some of you will get to this problem and be like, I'm just going to guess. Well, make it an educated guess because you can eliminate one of the answers just by realizing there should be 3 answers. Does that make sense? Number 11 says x squared minus 10x plus 5 equals 0. Now this one, they say use the quadratic formula on it, and you're like, but Stirrup, you showed us a faster method. Well, here's the faster method. If I have x and the factors of 5 are 1 and 5, is there any way that I can add 1 and 5 together if they're both negative to get negative 10? No, that's why the quadratic formula has to be used. So you know the quadratic formula. Some of you have told me the song is stuck in my head, but make sure you write this down on your paper. You know that's the quadratic formula. So you have x equals, now let's be smart about the quadratic formula. This is already a negative. What's my b value? Negative 10. So what do you know should I put? That way I don't have to worry about signs. If this is already negative and I'm plugging a negative 10 in, what do you know I'm going to put in right here? Positive 10. Okay? Be smart about using this. If you start realizing it, oh, okay, it wouldn't be negative because it would be negative 10. So why write negative when you know it's going to be positive? Okay? The next part is b squared. You know whatever I plug in for b squared, I'm going to get a positive answer. So what is negative 10 times negative 10? Positive 100. Again, notice, if I realize, you know that if I square something, it's got to be positive. Unfortunately, you're like, oh, negative 10 squared. Dude, negative 10 squared is the exact same thing as 10 squared. Some of you are making it way harder for you. You're not discovering something in math that doesn't exist. Okay, minus 4 times a. Our a value is 1. Our c value is 5. All divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Okay, so notice I shortened the quadratic formula a little bit because you can. Okay, there's no reason to put all the signs in there. Just do the arithmetic. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20 over 2. So x equals 10 plus or minus square root 80. Do you all realize the plus or minus means that's 2 answers? Okay, then I need to break down root 80. Okay, so root 80 is going to be 16 times 5. Why didn't I use 4 and 20? Because 16 is the biggest perfect square. What's the square root of 16? 4. So I get 4 root 5. So I'm going to replace 4 root 5 is going to go in place of root 80. If you get to that point, congratulations, but you missed 1 point. Why? There are 2 answers. I did all the math right, but there's something right here and right here and right here that something can take place. What can take place? Divide everything by 2. Very good. So 2 goes into self once, 2 goes into 4 twice, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So that means my answer is 5 plus or minus 2 root 5. Okay? So don't miss a point because you forgot to reduce something. Do we feel all right? All right. Number 12. This one also says use quadratic formula. So let 12. Number 12, that's a 12th circle. So I get 3x squared minus 2x minus 9 equals 0. Okay? So if you see this, some people might say, oh, let's divide everything by 3. Well, that's a good idea, but that becomes 2/3. Don't do that. Okay? So our quick way of factoring isn't going to work. So quadratic formula. X equals negative b. What's my b value? Negative 2. So I'm going to make this just a 2. Do you see what I did? Because that was already negative, negative is. So take care of the signs before you get it all in place. Plus or minus. What is negative 2 times negative 2? Or negative 2 squared? 4 minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Okay? X equals 2 plus or minus. Do the math. Let's see. I'm going to get negative 4 times 3. It's negative 12. 12 times 9. I can't do it in my head. I'm sorry. I wish I was more effective. That's 108. Positive 108. Do you see why it's positive? I multiplied a negative and a negative. All divided by 6. So x equals 2 plus or minus 112 over 6. Now, I would love for that to be our answer, but I fear that 112 is going to break down. So perfect squares, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121. Ooh. All right, so we're starting here. 100 times the number is not going to give me 112. 81 times the number is not going to work. 64 times 2, that is 128, getting closer. 49 times 2 is 98. 49 times 3 is bigger than 112. That's not going to work. 36. Close. I believe 36 times 3. Nope, that's not going to work. That's 18. That's 108. Nope, that didn't work. 25 is not going to work. Let's see. Do you think 16 might work? 16 times, let's see, 2, 4, 6. Perfect. Thank you. I don't know. Maybe can't do 16 in my head. Hang on. We'll just jump to this. 112 divided by 16. Oh, 112 divided by 16 is 7. Cool. So you got to use your calculator on it. Make sure you have a calculator. It's pathetic. I've only been asking you to bring a calculator. How many days? Oh, I have one. You have an $800 iPhone. You can't get a $2 calculator. Can I just use my phone on the test? No. Okay, so 16 times 7 is 4 root 7. So I'm going to replace 4 root 7 with this. So I get 4 root 7 over 6. You get there, congratulations, but you only miss 1 point. Why do you miss 1 point? I can reduce it. 2 goes into self once, 2 goes into there twice, 2 goes into there 3 times. So my answer is 1 plus or minus 2 root 7 all over 3. A lot of you are afraid to make a big denominator sign.
It's like you got spam.
All right. Whew. Feel like we're going 100 miles an hour. Dude, no kidding. Start up. Can't stay up with you. Number 13. Looking at number 13 right off the bat, what can you tell me about number 13? Can be reduced. What else? How many answers? 3. Why 3 answers? It's raised to the third power. Okay. So, before I do that, can I divide this by 10, this by 10, and this by 10, and this by 10? If I do that, I get x to the third minus 6x squared minus 16x equals 0. Okay. What should I do next? What should I do next? What do you think? Factor out an x. If I factor in x out of x to the third, I'm left with x squared. If I factor in x out of negative 6x squared, I'm left with negative 6x. If I factor in x out of negative 16, I'm left with a negative 16. Okay, so what can you guarantee this answer is here? 0. X equals 0. There's one answer. All right, we're getting closer. Getting closer. Yay. I want to factor this. I think I can do my faster method. Okay, I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply, that give me negative 16, and add to get me negative 6. What 2 factors of 16 are 8 apart from each other? Or 6 apart from each other, excuse me. 2 and 8. I'm a popular person today. All right, 2 and 8. Which one has to be negative to add together to get to negative 6? 8. All right, so x plus 2, x minus 8. What is this answer here? Negative 2. So there's another answer. What is this answer? X equals 8. So how many answers do I have boxed in there? 3. At the worst, if you came to the, again, it's raised to the third power, you're going to get one of the answers is x equals 0. So if you're like, dude, this is too tough for me, if you list one of the answers, you're going to get some of the points. Some of the points is better than none of the points. All right, number 14. 3 times 2x minus 4 plus 5 equals 41. Distribute here and here, so I get 6x minus 12 plus 5 equals 41. This is raised to the first power, so there's only going to be one answer. Negative 12 added to 5 is negative 7 equals 41. Add 7. 6x equals 48. Divide each side by 6. So x is equal to 8. Only one answer there. There's only one answer because it's raised to the first power. So, my friends, let me tell you this. I know we're almost out of time. If you look at the review video, it will go over 15 through 20 with you. Okay? Okay, I don't have the review up yet. It'll be up in the next couple of minutes. So there's going to be 2 videos for today. One of them is going to say it's the review. It's the entire thing. Okay? But I'll put this PDF up, which is good up through 14. You can use this entire sheet, anything you want to write on it. The backside, notice the backside is blank. Write whatever you want on the backside as well. You can use this whole packet on the quiz. You show up tomorrow and this is blank. That's kind of a silly conversation you and I have. You agree? All right, friends. Have a great day. Take care.